One Bible story that can provide comfort and encouragement during hard times is the story of Joseph, found in the book of Genesis, Genesis chapter 37:50. Joseph's life was marked by trials, betrayal, and difficult circumstances, but it ultimately reveals God's faithfulness and the power of forgiveness. Here's a summarized version of Joseph's story. Joseph was one of Jacob's 12 sons, and he was the favorite of his father. His brothers grew jealous and resentful of him, which led them to sell Joseph into slavery when he was just a young man. Joseph ended up in Egypt, far from his home and family, facing an uncertain future. In Egypt, Joseph experienced both success and hardship. He was falsely accused and imprisoned, but he remained faithful to God even in the darkest times. Despite his circumstances, he used his God-given gift of interpreting dreams to help others, including Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. Eventually, Joseph's ability to interpret dreams caught Pharaoh's attention, leading to his release from prison and his appointment as a high-ranking official in Egypt. Through divine wisdom, Joseph was able to interpret Pharaoh's dream, predicting a severe famine that would affect the entire region. During the famine, Joseph's brothers, who had betrayed him years earlier, came to Egypt seeking food. Unaware of Joseph's true identity, they encountered him as the ruler of the land. Joseph, after testing his brothers, eventually revealed himself to them, and instead of seeking revenge, he forgave them. Joseph's story teaches us several valuable lessons that can help us deal with hard times. Perseverance and faithfulness. Even in the face of adversity, Joseph remained faithful to God and persevered in his circumstances. His story reminds us to trust God's plan and remain steadfast in our faith, knowing that He can turn even the hardest situations for our good. Forgiveness and reconciliation. Despite the pain caused by his brother's betrayal, Joseph chose to forgive them and was later reconciled with them. The story encourages us to consider the power of forgiveness and the healing it can bring to our relationships and hearts. God's faithfulness. Throughout Joseph's journey, we see God's faithfulness, guiding him through each trial and eventually placing him in a position of influence and provision. It serves as a reminder that God is with us even in the darkest times, and He can work miracles in our lives. Divine purpose. Joseph's story showcases that God had a greater purpose for his life, even in the midst of hardship. In our own struggles, we can find comfort knowing that God has a plan for us, and He can use our experiences for His divine purposes. By reflecting on Joseph's story, we can find strength in knowing that God is with us in difficult times, and He has the power to turn our trials into opportunities for growth, healing, and reconciliation. Just as Joseph's life was transformed, ours can be too, as we trust in God's unfailing love and sovereign plan.